Chris Young is a 6'10" beast and made his first All-Star appearance in 2007. Then, after dealing with multiple seasons of injuries and a lot of people counting him out, Chris Young won Comeback Player of the Year in 2014, and in 2015, he was starting Game 4 of the World Series. Now, he's a general manager of the Texas Rangers, and he just brought in Jacob deGrom. How did we get here, and who am I? Hi, I'm Blue, and this is 7th Inning Stretch, where in today's video, we are going to be talking about Chris Young. Okay, not that Chris Young, this Chris Young. Thank you guys so much for watching my last video. If you guys haven't, you should check out the description after the video. Now without further ado, grab a snack, take a seat, and let's hop into it. Chris Young was born on May 25th, 1979 in Dallas, Texas, and he took everything is bigger in Texas to a whole new level. Chris was not only a beast in baseball, but he also showcased his talent in basketball in his high school and college years. He received the district MVP for basketball, meanwhile throwing 2 no-hitters. Chris also got selected first team All-State for both basketball and baseball in his senior year. With his big-time play, Chris had a lot of interest from a lot of big-time colleges, and in May 1998, Chris Young decided to attend Princeton University, as he saw a rise in the national profile for the basketball team. And for baseball, he wanted an opportunity to play under Scott Bradley, who caught for another 6'10" giant in Randy Johnson. Chris Young carried his domination into his freshman year at college. Chris became the first male athlete to be named Ivy League Rookie of the Year in 2 sports. He averaged 12.9 points and 5.3 rebounds a game in basketball, while pitching with a 2.38 ERA, which included only 1 home run allowed and 150 batters Daddy faced. Chris followed his freshman year by starting every game of the basketball season his sophomore year. He finished the season with 22 double-digit scoring games, 40 steals, 87 blocked shots, and was second on the team in assists with 105. He also led the team in scoring, averaging 13.8 points, while adding 6.3 rebounds per game. One of his best games was a 20-point game on the road against the number 11 ranked team, Kansas. In baseball, Chris was the Ivy League's leading pitcher with a 1.82 ERA. He also recorded a perfect 5-0 record in 8 appearances with 52 strikeouts in 49 1/3 innings. Chris Young was a unanimous first team All-Ivy League baseball selection and helped lead his team to an Ivy League title. Chris Young was then selected in the 3rd round of the 2000 draft by the Pittsburgh Pirates, being taken with the 89th pick in June. However, completing his college education was very important to Chris, and he wouldn't sign until September when he was given the assurance that he could complete it. In Chris Young's first year in the minors, he went 5-3 with a 4.12 ERA and 12 starts in Class A. In 2002, Chris recorded an 11-9 record with a much improved 3.11 ERA and 26 starts, helping lead his team to the league title. He allowed more than 3 earned runs in just 2 of his 26 starts. He also completed his degree at Princeton in politics in June 2002. Yeah, Chris is a beast. Then, on December 20th, 2002, Chris Young got traded to the Expos for Matt Herges, who was released months later, so I don't really get that. Chris Young started the 2003 season in Single A+, where he posted a 5-2 record with a 1.62 ERA, and he held batters to a 150 batting average in 8 starts. Then, in June, Chris was promoted to Double A, where he posted a 4-4 record with a 4.01 ERA in 15 starts. Also in that June, Chris was involved in trade rumors, and on April 3rd, 2004, Chris was traded to the Rangers for Einar Diaz. For the 2004 season, Chris Young started in Double A, where he went 6-5 with a 4.4 ERA in 18 starts. Yet he was promoted to Triple A in late July, and went a perfect 3-0 with an ERA of 1.48 in 5 starts, even throwing a no-hitter to the 6th inning in one of his starts. With an injury to then starter Joakim Benoit, Chris Young got his opportunity and made his major league debut on August 24th, 2004 against the Twins, where he pitched 5 2/3 innings, giving up 4 hits and 3 earned runs, while striking out 4 and walking 3 batters. The Rangers were down 3-0 when Chris left the game, but they ended up coming back and winning it on a walk-off. He got his first win 2 starts later, going 5 2/3 innings, only allowing 1 run while striking out 5 hitters against the Red Sox. He ended the season with a 3-2 record with a 4.71 ERA. Yet, I think the most interesting part of the season was after the season, when in November, things got a little crazy as Chris Young seemed to be interested in pursuing his NBA career as a backup center for the Sacramento Kings. Therefore, later that month, the Rangers would sign Chris to a 3-year deal worth $1.5 million to keep him in Texas and in baseball. Chris Young would put that work in right away, and he worked that off-season with the pitching coach, Earl Hershiser. Unfortunately for Chris, it didn't translate to start his first season, the 2005 season. He did have a 2-1 record. However, he had a 5.79 ERA, and he failed to complete 6 innings in each of his starts. However, on April 23rd, Chris Young got mechanical advice from that other 6'10" beast that we were talking about. And something must have clicked for Chris, because in his next 9 starts, he went 4-2 with a 1.83 ERA, holding hitters to a .218 batting average during that span. Also, Chris went 8 innings while allowing 2 runs or less in 3 of those starts. But then again, starting on June 20th, Chris struggled, pitching an ERA of 8.10 in 5 starts to the All-Star break, stating that fatigue was a problem for his poor run of starts. He finished the first half with an 8-5 record with a 4.01 ERA, striking out 7.9 batters per 9 innings in 18 starts. After his first start of the second half, where he went 6 innings giving up 2 runs while striking out 1 hitter against the A's, he still struggled, going 1-2 with a 9.70 ERA in his next 5 starts. To end the season, there were concerns with the workload being put on Chris's arm. Chris Young still ended the season strong though, going 3-0 with a 1.9 ERA in his final 7 starts, even throwing 8 shutout innings, allowing only 2 hits with 7 strikeouts against the Cleveland Indians. He finished the season with a 12-7 record with a 4.26 ERA in 31 starts, with a 7.5 strikeout rate per 9 innings. Then, on December 20th, 2005, the Rangers decided to make a questionable trade to say the least. They traded Chris Young, outfielder Termo Sledge, and first-round pick Adrian Gonzalez to the San Diego Padres for pitchers Adam Eaton and 2 prospects. Adam Eaton went 11-5 with a 4.27 ERA with the Padres the previous season. Again, Chris Young got right to work, working with the Padres pitching coach Darren Balsley on mechanical flaws that they both spotted on tape. Coming into the 2006 season, Chris Young was joining Jake Peavy, Clay Hensley, Chan-Ho Park, and Woody Williams in the Padres starting rotation, along with players like Adrian Gonzalez, Mike Piazza, Dave Roberts, and Khalil Green. Oh yeah, if you guys haven't, you guys should check out his video on Khalil Green. He's a stud. Chris Young had a great first half of the 2006 season. In June, he pitched 30 2/3 innings with a 1.17 ERA, only allowing 16 hits and 13 walks, while striking out 34 batters, earning him National League Pitcher of the Month for June. Chris Young also had 2 no-hit bids, one coming against the Rockies on May 30th, where Chris went 7 full innings before giving up a double to Brad Hopp to start the 8th inning. Then on Chris's next start, on June 4th, he didn't allow a hit until the 6th inning with 1 out, a single from Jose Hernandez. He ended the first half with an 8-4 record with a 3.12 ERA and an 8.5 strikeout rate through 9 innings in 18 starts. Chris Young had an up-and-down second half of the season. He started the first game of the second half, and he gave up 7 earned runs in 3 innings pitched. He did deal with a strained shoulder muscle. However, he finished the season with a 3-1 record with a 3.24 ERA in 12 starts, which also included another no-hit bid. This one occurred on September 22nd against the Pirates, where he went 5 2/3 innings before giving up a walk to Rajai Davis. Then, in the 9th inning, with just 3 outs to go before possibly completing the first no-hitter in Padres history, the first hitter Ryan Doman lined out. Then, after walking Jose Bautista, pinch hitter Joe Randa hit a 2-run shot to end the bid. Chris finished the 2006 season with the 6th best ERA in the National League, with a 3.46. He also had an 11-5 record with a career-high 169 strikeouts. Chris Young also had interesting splits, as he pitched much better on the road. His ERA was 2.41 compared to a 4.60 at home. He also suffered all 5 of his losses at home, but regardless, he still had a great season. The 2006 Padres made the postseason, and they were facing the Cardinals. Chris Young had the ball for Game 3, where he got the only win for the Padres in that series. He went 6 2/3 innings, only allowing 4 hits with 0 runs and 9 strikeouts. Here's some of those highlights right now.
Every couple of weeks you'd read where Chris Young was working on a no-hitter into the 7th inning of a game. He carried 1 into the 9th inning in September. He never... 2 on, 2 out. And the high slider
against anyone. Track, so they've got a good team. They just do not have the stars that they had.
Molina down on strikes. It's an 8-pitch inning for Chris Young. 3-2 to Pujols. Oh, look at that. That was a great pitch. I mean, usually the home run hitters also have big strikeout totals. Not the case with Albert. Jim Edmonds strikes out.
See the ball right out of his hand immediately.
Look at that. Yeah.
Coming into the 2007 season, Chris Young was feeling more comfortable with his pitching mechanics. And after his second start, where Chris threw 7 innings, giving up 4 hits and striking out 5 batters, while not allowing a single run, he got signed to a 4-year, $14.5 million deal, which included a 2010 club option. Then, in his next start, Chris lost against the Dodgers on the road. This was big because it was the first time that Chris Young had lost on the road since June 25th, 2005, which was 25 starts. In that time, he recorded a 9-0 record. Pretty crazy. After a great May, where he went 4-1 with a 1.13 ERA in 6 starts, the Padres and Cubs got into some drama. On June 15, Alfonso Soriano hit a home run against David Wells in the 6th inning, and the Padres didn't like how he admired his hit. Remember, this is 2007. On the next day, whether it was intentional or not, Chris Young threw a pitch that hit Cubs first baseman Derek Lee on the back of his upper arm. And I'll just show you what a 6'10" and a 6'5" fight looks like. Okay, fine. We'll be serious. Here's the actual fight.
We're having a conversation with Chris Young. Oh no, here we go. Derek Lee and Chris Young. And now Lou Piniella getting in the middle here trying to keep the peace. Oh man. We got a big pileup. And some chaos behind home plate. Carlos Zambrano got in the middle of it. Mike Quaddy has him. He lost his belt, and boy, this could get really ugly.
Following the scuffle, Derek Lee and Chris Young were both suspended 5 games. On July 1st, Chris was nominated as a candidate for the final All-Star spot, and a couple days later, on the 4th of July, Chris pitched 7 scoreless innings to take the lead in ERA for the entire MLB. The voting ended the next day, and Chris Young earned his first All-Star game selection. Chris entered the All-Star break leading the MLB in ERA and opponent's batting average. However, in the All-Star game, Chris Young kind of made some unfortunate history. He gave up the first inside-the-park home run in All-Star game history to Ichiro Suzuki. In his defense, it was the Giants Stadium, so triple alley, home run alley, you know what I mean. After a couple of really good starts after the All-Star break, on July 24th, Chris Young was taken out after throwing 2 innings with a left oblique strain. He was placed on the 15-day DL list, and when he came back on August 9th, he still wasn't 100%, as he was also feeling tightness in his lower back. Chris Young had a very up and down second half of the season, battling a couple injuries, and despite this, he still finished the season with a 9-8 record and was 8th in the MLB in ERA with a 3.12. He also led the MLB in opponent's batting average and hits per 9 innings. In the 2007 offseason, Chris was working with physical therapists to help prevent future muscle strains that relate to his height and pitching mechanics. And coming into the 2008 season, Chris Young was next to Jake Peavy and Greg Maddux in the rotation. In the first month, Chris had a 2-2 record with a 3.63 ERA. Then, unfortunately, on May 21st, 2008, Chris Young was hit in the face by a line drive by Cardinals first baseman Albert Pujols. After sitting on the ground for a couple minutes, bleeding from his nose, Chris Young walked off the field on his own power. He ended up with a broken nose and 3 nasal fractures. Ouch. He came back on July 29th against the Diamondbacks with 5 shutout innings. He then sat out again from August 10th till September 1st with a forearm strain. Then on September 7th in Milwaukee, in the early morning of the West Coast, I remember this game because I was coming out of church in like the 5th inning. Yeah. I literally remember like hearing it in the radio. So, Chris Young has a perfect game. Anyways, Chris Young was 4 outs away from perfection when Gabe Kapler hit a solo home run in the 9th inning. Chris ended up finishing the game, and he still got his first complete game of his career. Then, 2 starts later, although I can't unfortunately find the at-bat, Chris Young hit his first career home run against the Nationals. Chris Young ended the season with a 7-6 record with a 3.96 ERA in only 102 innings pitched. Unfortunately for Chris, he had a similar 2009 season. In his first 10 starts, he had a 4-2 record with a 4.76 ERA. It felt like Chris either pitched a really good game or he got blown up by his opponents. Then, Chris Young lost his next 4 starts in a row. On June 14th, he was taken out after 2 innings with a shoulder issue. The plan was for him to maybe miss a start or at the worst be placed on the 15-day DL list and then come back. After he was placed on the 15-day DL list on June 19th, it was late July and there was still no progression from Chris. On July 31st, he was transferred to the 60-day DL list, and in August, he had season-ending surgery to repair partial tears in his labrum. Chris finished the season with a 4-6 record with a 5.21 ERA and only 76 innings pitched. Now, coming into his contract year for the Padres, Chris wanted to prove that his body can last. However, like 2008 and 2009, 2010 was just the same, if not worse for Chris. After he pitched in the second game of the season, in which he threw 6 shutout innings, he got pulled because of soreness in his shoulder. Again, a 15-day DL stint turned into a 60-day DL stint. He finally came back on September 3rd. He pitched his last 3 starts of the season, going 1-0 with a 1.29 ERA in 14 innings. And he finished the season with a 2-0 record with a .90 ERA in the 4 total starts that he pitched. The Padres had a rough 2010, as they were in playoff position for most of the year, until the Giants swooped in and took the wildcard playoff spot in October. In November, the Padres declined to pick up Chris's club option for 2011. After 2 very difficult seasons for Chris, the Mets gave him a deal worth $1.1 million for the 2011 season. In his Mets debut, Chris threw 5 1/3 innings, striking out 7, while giving up only 1 earned run. He also went 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs in the game. Basically, he was Ohtani before Ohtani. Okay, I'm totally kidding. Or am I? After that game, Chris was dealing the whole month with bicep tendonitis. Then on May 1st, Chris pitched 7 scoreless innings against the Phillies, only giving up 2 hits with 7 strikeouts. However, Chris was still dealing with shoulder soreness and was placed on the 15-day DL list on May 8th. On May 12th, Chris Young decided to undergo season-ending surgery on his shoulder and moved to the 60-day DL. Then on March 26, 2012, Chris signed a minor league deal to stay with the Mets. Since the start of the 2008 season, Chris Young was 14-12 with only 222 pitched innings. I can only imagine what's going through his head, as it doesn't seem as he can stay healthy. He started the 2012 season rehabbing in the minors, and finally on June 5th, after missing over a year with a shoulder injury, Chris returned against the Nationals, pitching 5 innings and only giving up 2 earned runs. Chris Young had a solid return, pitching in 6 games before the All-Star break, and he had a 2-2 record with a 3.41 ERA. In the second half of the season, Chris Young had a lot of up and down starts, but he did hit 100 innings for the first time in the season since 2008. Chris finished the 2012 season with a 4-9 record with a 4.15 ERA in 115 innings and 20 starts. Now, coming into the 2013 season, there wasn't a lot of big league interest in Chris because of his history with injuries. He signed a minor league deal on February 21st, 2013 with the Nationals. After making 6 starts in the minors, Chris was placed on a DL with a strain in his neck. He then made 2 starts to end the year, and in 9 total starts, he finished the year with a 1-2 record with a 6.81 ERA. In that November, Chris again signed a minor league deal with the Nationals. And later that month, Chris would have a surgery to repair what he was diagnosed as thoracic outlet syndrome, which is a condition that affects your nerves and puts pressure on the pitcher's shoulders. After this surgery, Chris stated, "After having shoulder surgery in the past, you sort of expect a level of discomfort. I was sort of resigned to the fact that my shoulder is not the same that it once was. What I didn't realize was the problem was never truly corrected. Now, I feel great. I'm really excited about it. Hopefully it'll stay that way." Unfortunately for Chris, the Nationals didn't have a spot for him, and he was released on March 25th. 2 days later, on March 27, 2014, Chris was signed with the Seattle Mariners, and his return was officially on. He made his first start since September 9, 2012 on April 13th against the A's. Chris pitched 6 scoreless innings and only gave up 4 hits. Chris Young had a really good first half of the season and was already an early candidate to win the Comeback Player of the Year award, as he posted an 8-5 record with a 3.08 ERA in 17 games started. In the second half of the season, Chris only gave up more than 3 runs in 3 of his 12 starts, and he definitely helped the Mariners eat innings, and he pitched really good baseball. Chris Young finished the season with a 12-9 record and a 3.65 ERA in 29 starts. He also had the 6th best hits per 9 innings in the AL. Chris Young was awarded the Major League Comeback Player of the Year award, and he 1000% deserved it. After dealing with major injuries starting in the 2008 season, and now he pitched his most complete year since, I can't imagine how happy Chris was. Most people definitely would have given up. However, Chris Young's journey was not done yet. On March 7, 2015, Chris signed with the Royals. He started the season as a long reliever, and after 5 appearances with a 1.86 ERA, he was given a start on May 1st against the Tigers, and he made the most of it, pitching 5 hitless innings. He started the rest of the first half, and he finished with a 7-5 record with a 3 ERA and 87.9 innings. After the All-Star break, he returned to the bullpen, where he had a 3.65 ERA in 12 1/3 innings pitched with 10 strikeouts. Then on September 26, 2015, his father sadly passed away. The next day, Chris Young would pitch 5 hitless innings against the Indians. At this point, I really don't know how he doesn't have a no-hitter. Chris Young ended the season with an 11-6 record with a 3.04 ERA in 123 innings pitched. The 2015 Kansas City Royals finished the year with a 95-67 record, the best in the American League. This would be Chris Young's first time in the playoffs since 2006, almost 10 years ago. They were facing the Astros in ALDS, and in Game 1, with the Royals down 3-1 in the 3rd inning, Chris Young entered the game. He pitched 4 innings, only giving up 1 run, a solo home run by George Springer. They won the series, and now they're taking on Josh Donaldson and the Toronto Blue Jays in the AL Championship Series. With the Royals up 2-1, Chris Young got the ball for Game 4 in Toronto. Let's check out how he did.
Left side run at Escobar.
Chris Young pitched 4 2/3 innings, giving up 2 runs on 3 hits, while striking out 4 batters. The Royals won the game 14-2, but since Chris Young did finish 5 full innings, he wasn't credited with the win. The Royals won the series, and now they were facing the New York Mets, and finally Chris Young was getting a trip to his first World Series. In Game 1, the Mets took the lead in the 8th inning after Eric Hosmer made an error that scored the runner from second. In the bottom of the 9th with 1 out, Al scored a plate hero ball and did this.
Gordon in the air to center. Back at the wall. This game is tied.
The Royals and Mets were going into extras, and Chris Young came into pitch in the top of the 12th inning. He pitched a scoreless 12th, 13th, and 14th inning. When in the bottom of the 14th, the bases were loaded with no outs for Eric Hosmer. And Eric Hosmer did this. Chris Young got the win, pitching 3 huge scoreless innings, striking out 4 batters while not allowing a single hit. The Royals won Game 2 at home and lost Game 3 at New York. With the Royals winning the series 2-1, Chris Young was going to take the mound for the biggest game of his life. Let's take a look at how it went down.
And Granderson hit. Deception as Darno. Murphy gets under it, pops it in.
Chris Young pitched 4 innings, giving up 2 runs on 2 hits. The Royals put up 3 runs in the 8th inning and won 5-3. The next day, the Royals beat the Mets to win the World Series for the first time since 1985. Chris Young went from practically out of the league to being a piece of the puzzle for the Royals to win the World Series. On December 7, 2015, Chris Young signed a 2-year, $11.75 million deal to stay with the Royals. He entered the season as a 4th starter, and it didn't go to plan. In his first 7 starts, Chris was 1-5 with a 6.68 ERA when he was placed on the 15-day DL list with a strained forearm. When Chris came back, he was a Royals swingman, and he finished the season appearing in 34 games, 13 of which were starts. He ended the season with a 3-9 record with a 6.19 ERA, which was his highest ERA in a full season. He also gave up 28 home runs and 10.6 hits for 9 innings, both career highs in a not very good way. Coming to the 2017 season, there wasn't any expectations for Chris at all. He began the season in the bullpen, and in 14 games he had a 7.50 ERA in 30 innings pitched. And on June 23rd, he was designated for assignment and released the next day. On December 29, 2017, Chris Young signed a minor league deal with the Padres. He was fighting for a spot in spring training. Unfortunately, he was told that he wasn't going to make the opening day roster and was released on March 27, 2018, ending his career. Chris Young finished his career with a 79-67 record, with a 3.95 ERA in 13 seasons. He struck out 1,062 batters in 1,298 innings, giving him a strikeout rate of 7.8 per 9 innings, with a 1.26 career whip. He also had 1 home run, 6 doubles, 1 triple, and 17 ribbies in his career for batting. In May 2018, Chris Young became an MLB executive, as he was the vice president of on-field operations. 2 years later, he replaced Joe Torre as the MLB's enforcer of discipline actions, like fines and suspensions. Then, on December 4, 2020, Chris Young was named the general manager of his hometown team, the Texas Rangers. Since Chris Young has taken over, the Rangers have added a lot of big names, including Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, and the most recent, Jacob deGrom. With Chris Young also adding Bruce Bochy as the manager, the Rangers have become my second favorite team to root for. Chris Young has one of the better comeback stories that no one really talks about. Yeah, he had very dominant seasons early on, but with his 6'10 frame, he had a lot of injuries, to a point where he was just getting minor league deal after minor league deal. Finally though, with the Mariners, he made a comeback, and then finally with the Royals, he won his first World Series, which is incredible. That is an incredible story for Chris Young. And I hope you guys are inspired by this too, because Chris Young never quit. He could have easily ended his career after all his surgeries, but he persevered and now he has a ring on his finger. Chris Young was an absolute beast. I really do wish him the best of luck going forward. If you guys like this video, you guys should hit the like button. I really do appreciate it. I do have a couple of video ideas ready, but if you guys want to see anything new, you guys should let me know in the comment section. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.